when we talking Rhapsodies, y'all, yeah, you can throw in some Mozart, some Bach, some Beethoven, some Franz Liszt, but when you throw in the Rhapsody made by these motherfuckers, that's when shit gets real. What's going on, everybody? It's the Granddad Woolly, and you are here again for another edition of Woolly Reviews Film Data. We got a movie review today. We're going to talk about the brand new movie that just fucking dropped, one I've been waiting for ever since it was announced. It's centered around one of my favorite rock bands of all time and its lead singer, and it's finally here. So you know I had to talk about this motherfucker. These motherfuckers are back. They dropped some new shit. We about to rock the fuck out. Talk about the new movie, Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, for those who don't know, Bohemian Rhapsody is a movie centered around the great band known as Queen. They came up around the 70s and also around in the 80s. They had a long-standing career, and if you've never heard of Queen, you have at least heard of their songs, whether you know it or not. I mean, they got hits on hits on hits that are timeless. We Will Rock You. Another one, Bites the Dust. We Are the Champions. And of course, the title track as well, Bohemian Rhapsody, which is top 5 greatest rock songs of all time. Don't at me. That's the fuck. What's top 5, nigga? I don't give a fuck what you gotta say. That shit is fucking amazing. And now we have this film, which is sort of a biopic around the band, but more notably around its lead singer, Freddie Mercury. So now let's see if Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody is a dope-ass movie that's just as dope as the band itself, or sometimes you just gotta dethrone them with a whack-ass movie because, you know, you just fucked everything up, but the music can't ever be fucked up because that shit is legendary and classic as fuck. Let's talk about the shit. Now, the movie centers around the iconic rock band Queen. Like I said, they came out of Britain around the 70s, but they ran from the 70s up to the 80s, even to the early 90s, and they did their damn thing. It had, of course, lead singer Freddie Mercury, but also Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon. All of them were the Queen group, the foursome that made up Queen, and they pretty much just made iconic music, and they did it in the most unique, I guess, is that unique, daring, and just out their way possible. They never boxed themselves in. They always try something different. Every time Queen released a new project or album or single, it never ever sounded like the thing that they did before, because that's not what they were about, which is the reason why I love Queen's music so much, is because no matter what they tried, no matter how they went, it always came out amazing, but still was very unique and different, especially around the time that it was. And in this movie, you kind of see from the moment that they became Queen from the start, when they were in college, and how Freddie Mercury ended up meeting the first two members, which I believe were Roger Taylor and Brian May, and then I think John Deacon came in a little bit later after that. They kind of started in college, they did some small gigs here and there, they ended up getting signed to a record label, and then they dropped their first single, which I believe was Killer Queen, which ended up being a fucking smash hit. It put them on the map, and then from there, they ended up wanting to go bigger and better to the story of what is now the iconic song Bohemian Rhapsody. But the movie really centers around Freddie Mercury and his entire journey through the entire span of him being with Queen, starting from the beginning when he was kind of like this weird, awkward, like social outcast, all the way up to being this legendary, iconic singer that everybody knew and loved. So pretty much you just get to see the entire process that his life went through, the ups, the downs, the struggles he went through, his love life, his sexuality, everything like that that went along with Freddie Mercury's entire character is covered in this movie, and it's also covered in conjunction with just the band's rise and everything that goes along with them as well. And also, with this being a Queen biopic, you're gonna of course hear their music all over this entire movie. They're gonna be playing the music as the background music, as well as seeing them work in the studio, creating the actual songs and the experience with that. So it's dope to hear all these songs in the movie. Of course, the great big hits that we always know about, but also the sort of lesser known deep cuts that the Queen have also made. But if you're a super Queen fan, you're mostly gonna know about all these songs that they're doing in the movie, which is amazing. And overall, this is just a movie that showcases the life of Freddie Mercury and the band Queen itself all in one. Now here's the thing, is the movie good? And I gotta say, y'all, honestly, this is a very, very well put together movie. It's really fucking good. I was thoroughly entertained. The movie was done very, very well. Now, for somebody like me, like, I listen and I love Queen's music, but I didn't really dive too deep into Freddie Mercury's like personal life and the story. So for me to see that or see glimpses of that, I guess I'm not sure if it's the 100% full story, but what they gave us really gives a glimpse in who Freddie Mercury was from a personal standpoint. Like, I didn't know that he was from Zanzibar and not necessarily from England, but he was born there, I guess. But also, his parents were, I think, from Zanzibar. But also, he also had this real deep, like, personal issue with himself, with his identity, who he was, trying to fit in. But also, he had to battle himself with his own sexuality, because he ended up starting off heterosexual, then he thought he was bisexual, then he ended up turning into full gay. But he was just like dealing with that the entire time, while also dealing with being a part of this insanely huge rock band and just becoming this huge global icon, and the pressure that came along with that as well. And through all that, you kind of just see the process creatively that Freddie Mercury goes through when it comes to making music, and the things that he went through in his life kind of sort of catapulted him to make some of his biggest songs like Bohemian Rhapsody and We Will Rock You and Another One Bites the Dust. All these came through times where Freddie Mercury in his life was going through some situations or some kind of struggles or some kind of battle, and he just put everything he had going inside of him into the music. Another cool thing that I didn't realize about Queen is that when they were in the studio, they really all kind of like collaborated in a very unique way, where sometimes it wasn't Freddie Mercury who always came up with the ideas. Maybe it was, you know, maybe it was Roger who came up with an idea, or Brian came up with an idea, and and then they came up and they kind of built off of that. So it was cool to see that like a bass line could have started a song, or a drum pattern could have started a song that ended up being a huge hit, which is dope. So it's good to see their creative process. It was kind of chaotic in the studio. Freddie Mercury was a meticulous motherfucker in the studio. He ran through tape. They didn't have like Pro Tools back then, so you got to do the shit on tape. And he was going through tape like a motherfucker. Studios hated that motherfucker. But he always resulted in making an amazing piece of work in the end. And I gotta give a shout out to Rami Malek, who played Freddie Mercury. He did a phenomenal job playing this character. He looked like Freddie Mercury. He sounded like Freddie Mercury. He moved like Freddie Mercury. And the thing about it is if you never heard of Rami Malek, he is most likely to be known for being on Mr. Robot. But when I saw him, I was like, this motherfucker looks familiar as fuck. And then I realized that's the motherfucker Josh from the game Until Dawn, which I played. Like, and I hated that motherfucker in that game. Like, fuck Josh. He was a fucking asshole. But it's dope as hell, and he did an amazing performance, and he really gave off that vibe of being Freddie Mercury. So good on him. He did a great job, as well as the rest of the cast. And speaking of that, the cast on here was, I think, done very well, because all the members really look like the actual real members in the band. So they did a good job with that. And the story is just really dope. With a biopic, you really don't know how much of the real story of people you're going to be able to get. But I think covering a good amount of Queen's story and Freddie Mercury's story side by side, they did the best that they could, and it came off well. Like I said, the movie's entertaining, it's funny at parts. You get to see Freddie Mercury's love life, like his marriage to his wife Mary, which ended up not working out because he ended up dealing with his sexuality, and he came out to find that he's actually bisexual to gay, so that didn't work out, but he was still deeply in love with her as a person. So he struggled with that, as well as trying to find someone who can really, you know, feed that side of him as well. You also find out that Freddie Mercury, as he got more and more famous, his life started to spiral more and more out of control. With the people around him, he started to isolate himself around from the people who was there when he came up, and started to do the drinking and drugs and things like that, and it ended up just blowing up in his face in a really bad way, to the point where he ended up contracting a bad disease. I mean, if you don't know the story, if you know the story of Freddie Mercury, you know what it is, but if you don't, let's just say he got the shit Magic Johnson got, but you know, he didn't get the cure like Magic Johnson. Because we know you ain't got that shit no more, Magic. You wildin' if you do. Fuck, you lying to us. You know you got that cure, goddammit. But basically, it just tells the entire story of Freddie's life from the beginning all the way up to that point, up to the amazing performance that they had in 1985 at the Africa Live Aid concert. Well, it was a concert that was streamed worldwide. I think it was the biggest televised concert, and it was to help starving people in Africa. And Queen had the most iconic performance probably of their career at there, as well as the note heard around the world, where Freddie Mercury did this iconic performance of Ayo a cappella, and the entire crowd was just going along with it in unison. And it was like one of the most, it gives you chills seeing that shit. If you, in the movie they do it and it gives you chills, but if you see the actual performance, look it up, that shit is fucking amazing. So all those things are encompassed. The performances, the music, the struggles, the ups and downs of Freddie Mercury, even the things that the band goes through, and in between all that, you get some great performances, some great shots in the studio of them working. Even Mike Myers is in this fucking movie, which is dope. He plays a record executive, the first record executive that Queen signed to, and it's a funny thing about Michael Myers is like, that's kind of how I ended up finding out about Queen, because Michael Myers is a huge Queen fan too, and in his movie Wayne's World, that's the first time I heard Bohemian Rhapsody, and I love that fucking scene. And from that scene, I said, I gotta find out who these people are, who this band is, and little did I know I already heard other songs from them. But so from that, like from that movie watching Wayne's World by Michael Myers, I ended up becoming a huge fan of Queen, just to see him in the actual movie, playing a part in the movie, which is kind of dope. So shout out to Michael Myers, he did a good ass job. He was funny in his role, he did his damn thing. And at first I didn't even recognize him, I had to really look because he was in like makeup and shit. But yeah, it was dope as fuck. And now all we need now is a new Austin Powers, Mike. Come on, I know you got one in the chamber. Let's go. We need it before you get too fucking old. Come on, we need Dr. Evil back and shit, fucking shit up, like. We need that. We need that. And everybody in the theater when those songs were coming on was nodding their heads and singing along, and it was just a good ass fucking time just being in there. And I just think that they did a great job portraying the story. They did a really good job just giving us the moments that we can relive. And if you've never seen these actual moments, or if you've never listened to Queen's actual music, go back and listen to their music, because they made some of the most iconic music ever that's still being played to this day. It's sampled to this day. Like honestly, like Ice Ice Baby from Vanilla Ice, that's the same bass line from Under Pressure with Queen and David Bowie. So actually, damn, Queen is the reason why we got Vanilla Ice. Damn, it's fucked up. You shouldn't have cleared that sample, y'all, but it's all good. I shout out to Vanilla Ice. He's a good ass carpenter. I'll give him that. But the point is this, like, Queen has just become so influential in music, and I just think that their music has stood the test of time and will always stand the test of time, because they just made some of the most unique, iconic, and just like moving music that can cross any genre or culture. Like, literally, you put on a Queen song, like, it doesn't matter where you're from or what your background is, you're gonna fuck with that shit. You're gonna be wilding out, because they just knew how to make music that was universal and for everybody. So my final verdict, I'm not saying that Bohemian Rhapsody is a dope biopic centered around an amazing band and an amazing lead singer in Freddie Mercury, where you get to learn his story, his upbringing, his struggles, as well as the band struggles, while at the same time hearing some great ass music. All I'm saying is that the movie is shot very well. The performances come off amazing. Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury kills it. He looks just like him. He acts just like him. He really honed in on his role and he did his damn thing, as well as all the other cast on here. The story on here is great, but mostly the music and the performances are the shining example of just why Queen is just an amazing band, and this movie encompasses that. I would love to see this movie again. I'd pay to see this shit again just because of the music part of it, but it's also just very entertaining. It's funny. It's got great emotional moments on here. You feel bad for Freddie at times, and just the story of how his life went. You can just see it was the dude who just wanted to like be himself, as well as be accepted, and have people around him who really genuinely cared about him and everything that went along with that. So it's a heartwarming story, it's a great story, and it's also just a very passionate story about someone who loved to create and make music and be himself. So all I gotta say is that for me, Bohemian Rhapsody is 100% Granddad approved. Go watch this shit. It's officially out today everywhere. Check this out. Listen to this fucking, listen to everything Queen prior and then after. Honestly, like after I got the movie, I bumped like a whole bunch of Queen shit. I was just like, yo, I was in a mood. I was in a zone. So it's definitely dope. But yeah, check it out. I ain't got nothing else to say. It's fucking fire. Bohemian Rhapsody is Granddad approved. So go check out the shit right fucking now, because it's fucking fire. Flip it. Alright, y'all, that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and drop a comment. Tell me what you think of Bohemian Rhapsody. If you've seen it, if you have not seen it, like I said, it's a dope-ass movie, dope performances, dope music, dope everything. There are some moments you might have to say pause or no homo real quick, but it's all good. It's Freddie Mercury. He can do that shit. And overall, it's just fucking dope, so check it out definitely. Previous videos on the side, as well as my latest single. Check that out, show us some love. And as always, Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram, links in the description below. And subscribe. Button on the screen, button below, Woolly Reviews, twice a week, as well as the gaming videos. Let's talk about the shit. All that shit, you know what it is. The info is below. Hit the notification bell. And I got nothing more to say. So until next time, I take my leave. Granddaughter, Bohemian Rhapsody, dope-ass movie for a dope-ass goddamn band. Listen to that shit. I'm going to listen to that shit right after this shit. Bohemian Rhapsody about to crank up loud as fuck in this house. God damn it, it's going on right now. I'm out of here.